This is the worst episode of Wife Swap ever.
Worst thing, if you're black, I will have a big problem.
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? I don't believe in black and white together.
When we got here and I found she was a dark lady, and I thought, oh God, no.
You think all women shouldn't have a right to talk?
I'm sorry, you're being Hitler.
You are rude, arrogant, and nasty.
Hello, you gorgeous donuts. Wife Swap is a TV show in which two women from totally contrasting families switch houses for 2 weeks to see how they get on and see if they can learn anything. After this, both of the couples then come together to discuss what they've learned, and normally this just ends up in them having huge arguments, as they're normally just taking the piss out of each other's living situations. And obviously the concept of this show brings so much drama because both of these couples would never interact with each other on a normal day-to-day basis, and now they're stuck with them, and that's especially apparent in the episode we're going to be breaking down today. This is known as the worst Wife Swap UK episode ever aired. I think that's because it was aired in 2003, where there was basically just zero regulations on what you could upload to television. It's mental. There's two moments in particular later in this video that genuinely are going to shock you, so let's just get into it. They should have just stopped filming altogether after this. We first meet Lance and Sonia, who have only been together for 5 months before appearing on this show. Sonia has 2 kids called Kimberly and Luke. Now, already, I think this is a recipe for disaster, because imagine only being with, like, your spouse for 5 months and then you decide to swap them out. Like, you don't even know everything about them yet. Like, do you really trust them this much already? I don't know if there's a perfect time to be together to ever appear on Wife Swap, but 5 months surely isn't it. 5 months? You're still in the honeymoon period at that point, man. I would just be stressed a bit. And also, like, from Sonia's point of view, you're leaving your 2 children with a man you've only known for 5 months and then a total random stranger. Like, you have a lot of trust in your body.
My beliefs and my views are quite traditional, which is very contrary to the way I look.
What do you mean you've got traditional values? You're literally swapping your wife out with another person for 2 weeks. What's traditional about that? Lance says that it's his job to make all of the money and make sure that everything's paid in the house, and Sonia's job is to just look after the home and look after the kids, even though Sonia works a full-time job from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. We then get introduced to the other family, the Jacksons, which consists of David and Dee. They've been together for 18 years and have 2 children called Mary and Carol. Now, at 18 years, I feel like, is that a good time to come on Wife Swap? You've definitely got some trust there, and you've definitely, you know, get on well if you've been together for 18 years. I think that is more of a healthier time to come on this show. Mix it up a little bit. Right? See what else the world has. I don't know. I never think this show's a good idea, if I'm being honest. Every single episode I've seen from this show, it causes more harm than good normally. We'll have to wait until the end of this one to see if this one is a good one. David says that Dee wears the pants in this relationship, and he basically does anything just to satisfy her, which definitely contrasts with Lance and Sonia's dynamic and makes for great telly.
You won't think about it, because in the end you'll turn around and say I can have them anyway.
I wouldn't change her for the world.
I find that so interesting how the editors and the producers of this show have cut this, because they're basically trying to tell you that he's a little bit, you know, he just kind of puts up with a lot of crap. Every single clip you see of Dee, she's complaining or she's shouting at him. He doesn't look like he lives the happiest life. However, he just loves his wife.
You know, I'm starving. I want some lunch.
She took me as I was.
I love that she's like complaining at him, like, yeah, I want some lunch. I've had a terrible day, while he's literally cleaning you, love. Can the man just do one job at a time, please? I also feel bad for David because, you know, the producers really haven't helped him out with the height here. They're filming him so high. Like, there's so much space above his head. He looks tiny here. To be fair, a lot of people are always shocked at how tall I am. Like, does this camera make me look small? A lot of people think I'm like 5'2". Genuinely. Are you taking the piss?
What?
Both the couples then tell the camera what they don't want their new partner to be like. And you can tell straight away that Lance and Dee aren't going to get on.
The worst case scenario is that she's fat, ugly and smelly and don't keep the place or herself clean.
Alright, well, Lance is a bundle of joy. Can't wait for Dee to turn up. Why was he so aggressive with that language straight away? That was oddly specific as well. It's like he's met a woman who fit that exact mould that wasn't very nice to him once, and now he just hates all women that resemble exactly that. Christ. TV back then was just a different breed.
You know, she might be one of these who likes her men muscly and handsome, good looking, whereas me, I walk down to the car. That's all my walking involves.
Hey. Still getting your steps in though, aren't you, David? Right, still count on the Fitbit. That's all that matters. Also, every single time I see David get interviewed, he's getting shorter and shorter. Like, what is happening here? Why is he getting smaller and smaller? Is this man okay? Is he like standing in quicksand? I need a comparison of all of the interview segments. This is all shot in one take, so I have no idea how this is happening. They then show us like a short trailer of all the arguments that's about to happen, and genuinely, I don't think I've seen as many arguments in any episode of TV ever. So stay tuned for them because they're gonna blow your socks off. Unless you're not wearing any, then you're probably alright then. They also show us a clip from the end of the episode where it looks like Dee and David call it quits on their 18-year marriage. So I need the gaps filled in here. What happens in this episode to lead them to this point? Anyway, moving on, it is now the day that the couples will swap partners for 2 weeks. They say their goodbyes to their family and then they're on their way. I always think, like, when they're in the taxi, how will they be feeling during this point? Like, you must be so nervous. However, Dee doesn't really seem nervous. She actually seems, I don't really know how to describe this. Not very nice.
Worst thing, if you're black, I will have a big problem. I'm sorry to say.
I mean, that's just racist, Dee. You know, that's point blank, just racist. What do you mean you're going to have a big problem? It's also such like a drastic decision from the producers to like pair these two couples up, knowing this is what Dee's like thoughts are. This is wild, especially when there's children involved.
I'm not against coloured people, far from it, but I don't believe in black and white together.
Well, you know, love, you know, why did you have to have a but there? You know, I'm not against... But, nah, just leave the but out, love, right? First part, great. The rest, nothing can come good after that but, okay? No goodness can come. Just stop your sentence right there. I'm actually a little bit worried now for the Lance's household. I hope that, you know, they don't... I'm worried. It's just wild that the producers just kept on filming after this. Like, after she admitted this to the camera, they were just like, well, get yourself in, love. Enjoy your 2 weeks. That is absolutely crazy work. Both Sonia and Dee then explore each other's houses, and Dee just seems more passive-aggressive than what Sonia is.
It's very plain, isn't it? That should be in the fridge.
It's a face. It's one of those, like, punchable faces. Do you know, like, if you work in customer service and someone walks in, like... You're like, oh, do you want to fix your face before you fucking order, do you? Do you want to fix this, love? Because I'm not dealing with whatever this is. This. Nah, not me. Like, why have you come on this show? Just to kind of just be nasty? Is that the only reason, Dee?
And whoever lives here is not English.
Why?
Coconut cream, that's curry, all sorts of peppers.
Sorry? What? They're not from this origin because they've got coconut milk and peppers. How does that make any sense? Guys, if you're a white person at home and use peppers, just rethink what you're doing. She's acting as if this is some sort of like outrageous spice from like a different corner of the internet. It's just coconut milk and peppers, love. That's it. Nothing rogue. You're acting like you've just seen the Carolina Reaper pepper. Oh yeah, this is a bit outrageous for me, isn't it? Christ. To Dee, like if she was stacking shelves in Tesco, she would put like parsley in the world food section. She's like, ooh, it's a bit spicy for me, innit? Definitely just put salt and pepper on everything and calls it seasoned. It's so funny that Dee has a cheek to like comment on what's in Sonia's fridge, even though this is what's in her fridge.
But there's not much in the way of actual food, is there?
Oh, what was in there? Was that just pure drinks? Was that just like Vimto or something? There's literally just bottles of, is it like some sort of like purple blackcurrant thing? There's a bottle of water. There's some eggs. No peppers though. Right, because obviously, you know, it's a little bit out there for Dee. Just partial to an onion, but not a pepper. Should absolutely hate Tony Stark's assistant. It's terrible. That was terrible. I'll up my game. Apologies, guys. Better is yet to come. Don't worry. Sonia and Dee then read the manuals they've left for each other on how they like to run their home.
We eat ready, frozen, microwave meals, except on Sundays. Really?
Well, that's handy then.
You would be buzzing though, wouldn't you, if you were Sonia? You're like, what? For like 2 weeks, all I've got to do is just put like frozen food in the oven. Oh, I used to dream of times like this. Thank you, Dee.
You spend £50 on weed every week. That is a drug, I know, because I've done my history on it.
All right. Calm down, Kirkham. That is a drug, right? We've got it confirmed here. Guys, if you were wondering, weed, it's a drug. If Lance does smoke a lot, I can tell that this is going to make him and Dee fall out heavily. It's also wild that this show just outed Lance for buying that. Like, obviously it's illegal here in the UK to purchase weed. And the fact that we're like, just stick it on TV, let's just expose them. The families then meet their new wives for the first time and already we're off to a drastic start.
When we got in, I found she was a dark lady. And I thought, oh God, no. What have I let myself in for?
Oh my, this could never get aired today, could it? I thought, oh no, what have I let myself in for? What do you think's gonna happen? What do you think's happening here, David? This is already looking to be worse than the last wife swap episode we covered. David then tells Sonia that his wife does have some strong views.
She's anti-mixed marriage.
Really? I actually read it and that really she don't like black people.
Now, just from Sonia's point of view, like, this must be a little bit scary to, you know, be in this house, like, obviously by herself. Just knowing that this is the type of views that gets discussed in this household. Like, I would be looking at the production team like, can someone just like always stay here? Like, can we just like have hidden cameras here like at all times just put us at ease a little bit?
He thinks that as well.
Ooh, they could be getting on well then.
Do you know what? I think, early prediction, that Sonia and David might actually get on more, but definitely more than what Dee and Lance are, because Dee and Lance clearly just don't like each other. Like, not personally, but they just don't like what the other person like represents, I guess. They both have outrightly said that I don't want the person to be this person, then they've just put them together. It's almost like the show knew that they would be fireworks and then they just went, the other two will be fine together after 2 weeks. We'll not even bother with them.
She's now living with a black person who also don't like white people.
Now, as funny as Sonia thinks it is, which is great that she's taken it this way, your kids are also in that house, you know, and you know nothing about this woman. So are you not like even a little bit worried that this woman has said these views and then your kids are also going to be in the house? And it seems like she's just having a laugh, to be fair. Lance then tells the camera his first impression of Dee.
Not the most curvaceous, vivacious hunk of femininity I've ever met in my life. However, she's not here to sexually please me, I'm sure.
Oh, God. This is going to be awful, isn't it? So, are you saying that if it was a woman that you found attractive, then there could be the possibility that you two would sleep together? Like, what are you trying to say here? It's the fact he goes, well, I don't think that she's here, you know, to sexually please us. What? She's definitely not here. This isn't a swingers show. This is meant to be a show where you learn about how other people live, not how their body parts work. Plot twist, imagine like Dee and Lance actually just start shagging the entire episode. Not going to bet me money on it. Dee then says that David will be struggling a lot more than her with his new wife.
David will be going mad because of the colour. He will feel it so strange, her being there.
You can see, for some reason, Dee just has so much hatred in her soul just for, you know, the type of person that she deems worse than her, which obviously goes without saying is just a horrific thing to, like, you know, believe. What we're seeing from David, although he did say some messed up stuff before, he's getting on with Sonia a lot more than Dee is getting on with Lance. Like, I wonder if Dee kind of just puts all of her beliefs onto her family and also makes them feel that way as well. Obviously, I have no idea about this dynamic or how this is going to play out, but this is just initial thoughts. This is just what it looks like a little bit, because David seems to be doing just fine.
Having spoken to her now for several hours, she's got a wonderful personality.
And I know he's not a happy bunny at the moment.
I wonder if Dee's going to be absolutely fuming that David is actually getting on with Sonia. I genuinely believe she will be fuming when she watches this back. It's also funny that David was like, actually, after speaking to her, I've realised she's just a person. She's actually pretty sound. What the fuck? Both the couples then go to sleep and they wake up the next morning having to adopt how the other wife lives their lives in their home. However, they both kind of break the rules instantly as Sonia goes to wash all the dishes. However, normally in this house, Dee doesn't wash dishes, it's the kids that do it. But Sonia just tells them to sit down and takes control. Whereas in Lance's house, there's just so many dirty dishes and Dee just sits on the sofa and just kind of goes, Can't be arsed. And at this point, I believe that this 2-week period is just going to be a breeze for Sonia because all she needs to really do is just sit around and watch TV all day. As Dee doesn't do any like housework and she also doesn't have a job. It's like her thing is just watching TV. So I think it's going to be less of a shock for her because now Dee has to go to work from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. Also cook all the food. Also do all the cleaning. Not only like cook the food, she has to cook it from fresh, not just put stuff in the oven. Like, I don't see how Dee's going to be able to cope here because this is such a switch up to what she's used to. Like, already Lance is having a go at her for not cleaning and this is literally the first morning.
Whatever needs to be tidied, so, just tidy. She done it all in about 10 minutes. That's how unthorough she was.
It's so funny seeing two people that don't like do anything in their households then like become a pair because they're both just used to doing nothing, so they're both just shaming each other even though both of them have no responsibilities themselves.
Look, she simply flashes them up across the floor. What the hell are you doing here? Do something. You're supposed to take the place of my woman.
To be fair, like in this experiment you are meant to replicate the exact duties of what that wife in that house does. However, I do believe that Lance just kind of uses Sonia. You can tell here they've only been together for 5 months and he expects her to do everything for him, do all the cooking, all the cleaning. If she was like Dee and stayed at home all day, then I think, you know, you can have a chat about it and maybe it's more fair. But she works more hours than what Lance does and she still has to do all of this shit. Sonia is like Superwoman. We also get a little glimpse into the dynamic in David's house as one of the kids' hamster dies and they ask for another one and David basically says no and they went, oh well, I'm just gonna buy one anyway. Like, David in his house has no authority. Everyone just walks all over him, including Dee when she's there. And it's really sad because he seems like just a bit like a pushover. He never stands up for himself. And you're going to see later in this episode how he actually has a little bit of a character arc. And one thing I do want to know is Sonia seems really interested in actually helping David. Like, out of everyone, every adult in this specific episode, Sonia is like the most emotionally mature. Like, the way she's talking to David, it actually seems like she's trying to give him some help to take into like his life moving forward. Whereas Lance just has a total different approach to helping Dee.
I will tell her today that. Don't sit down on your fat ass. That's why you are fat, because you should stuff your face and sit on your ass all day.
Yeah, say that to her. Right? That'll make her feel 10 times more motivated. Go on, Lance, say it to her face. Go on. Lance just hates her guts already, genuinely. I wouldn't be surprised if these two had a boxing match after this. I think Lance's hatred has grown and grown for Dee because she's just not, like, putting anything into this experiment. Like, she's not doing any of the stuff that Sonia does. So basically, she's come on this experiment to do exactly what she does in her own home, in someone else's home, which you're allowed to do in the second week. But the whole point of the first week is replicating the previous person. That's the entire show. There's just so many scenes of both Lance and Dee being in the sitting room, just sitting in awkward silences. Fucking hell. Christ! Calm down a little bit, guys. The chemistry's off the charts here. More chemistry than Walter White could do. Bloody hell. What time you until? What time you start? You been busy? It's like taxi driver talk, man.
The house is a bit of a state.
No, it's not too bad.
Haven't seen the kitchen lately, have you?
No, I haven't been in the kitchen yet.
I hate this. The awkwardness is just off the charts. The passive aggressiveness. It's like a scene from The Office. Bit of a state, this, isn't it? No, not really. You haven't been in the kitchen. No, I don't really like kitchens. Not really for me. You know, if you're asking me, I wouldn't really set foot in the kitchen. Whole time I'm here 2 weeks, I won't even see the kitchen. Lance then takes Dee into the kitchen and has a go at her.
Dee, can I have a word with you in the kitchen, please?
Yeah.
Where is it? I've never been in here.
You must look around the house and see things that need to be done because...
Again, like, Lance, personally, he doesn't seem like the nicest guy, but he has a point where Dee is you are meant to act like Sonia. I keep saying it, but you are meant to do it, even if it is bad and you don't agree with it. That is the concept of the show. Because then when you do the rule change, like, why should Lance listen to you if you never listened to, like, what he was saying, how the house should be run? Even though, again, I don't agree with how Lance, like, runs this household.
You're supposed to be Sonia, so please, I mean, can we have some kind of order?
She wants to kill him.
I do leave the house at 7 o'clock in the morning and I get home about 7:15 at night. He wants a woman to bow down to him.
Obviously, like, I don't really like Dee because of what she said in the intro tapes of this, and I think that's completely valid. But in this specific conversation she has with the camera, she has a point about Lance. Like, the fact she has to get up at 7 a.m, comes back at 7 p.m, and then, I don't know, has got to spend like an hour and a half cleaning. Like, she just basically has to watch one episode of a TV show and go to bed because she's got to be up so early. Like, what kind of a life is this for Sonia? And Sonia's such a nice person, which is why it angers us like even more. Basically, Dee and Lance treat their partners exactly the same. And now Dee's kind of getting a little bit of her own medicine. Dee then says that she can't wait for the second week of this show because, in her own words, Lance has a war coming. What? Are these two genuinely just going to get, like, pitchforks out and start, like, battling? Are they both going to draw their sword and their shield? What do you mean war is coming?
He has got war.
I have zero faith that these two are going to be friends by the end of this episode, but I have hope. Okay, let's find out. It's now halfway through the process, and this is where rule change week does in fact come into play. This basically means that the two wives have to implement their own rules into their new household, how they would live at home. Sonia starts off really well because she basically says to the kids that they've got to start showing their dad respect. They can't swear at him, they can't swear at each other. She's basically just putting in like foundation fundamentals on how the kids should treat their parents. She also says that the kids, when they're told to do something by their dad, they just have to do it rather than arguing back at him. She also says that they all have to go to the gym, which later in this episode they do go to the gym. However, it doesn't actually end up how Sonia wants it. Dee's first rule is that Lance is not allowed to smoke weed in the house because it doesn't work well with her other kids. Lance also grounded one of the children for apparently being naughty, and Dee has overturned that grounding thing. She says that she doesn't believe in grounding. So already she is kind of just stripping away everything that Lance believes in layer by layer. And obviously Lance doesn't take this well. Like, David's taken the rule changes really well because he's getting a lot more respect in the house. You know, he's starting to stand up for himself, whereas Lance feels like everything's getting torn apart. However, Dee is definitely probing him a little bit, kind of trying to wind him up.
This is about discipline. This is about respect.
No, it's like being Hitler. I'm sorry, you're being Hitler.
Right.
And Hitler died.
Again, I'm glad that Dee has confirmed Hitler is dead, everyone. So if anyone had the suspicions, Dee said it now, right? She's confirmed that weed is a drug and Hitler is dead. So we can all chill now. We can all go back to our wives and be happy. It's just hilarious that she brought up that certain dictator's name just because Lance grounded the kids. Like, I don't believe that makes him, you know, that German guy. You know, I feel like grounding is a little different to what the atrocities he committed, personally. That's just my opinion, though. Don't cancel us for that, guys. I have a hot take. I actually think that dictator's worse. But to be fair, like, the kids actually back up Dee's comment about Lance being a dictator. Just quickly, guys, before we proceed with the rest of the video, do consider joining the donuts and pressing the subscribe button. When I look at my analytics, not many of you are subscribed. So what you playing at? Join the best corner on the internet. We're trying to hit 1 million subscribers, 1 million of us in this community. So if you want to be in the before 1 million subscribers club, press the button. It's free.
We speak down to people. Like, everybody is on a lower level. Wait, you're not a part of this family.
Right.
You never will be, you know.
No, you.
Now, obviously, like, the person who has the best perspective of this household is Sonia's daughter. Like, she will know exactly what Lance is like. Like, we're only getting to see this on an hour's footage. So the fact that she's, like, raised this for what seemed the first time, like, Dee's definitely helped her open up. I wouldn't think that Dee would have a positive impact on these children, but she seems to be doing it. This whole situation is difficult for both of Sonia's children, but especially Kimberly, because she's the older one. And the fact that this guy has come into their lives, like, just 5 months ago and kind of turned their lives, like, upside down. This is going to be stressful anyway, and clearly she doesn't like him, and we can see why. The man's not the nicest bloke.
They are my keys now.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. If you were my child, you see, with your attitude and speaking to me that way, you wouldn't be here.
I definitely think that Lance is like a bit insecure. Like he, at the start of this episode, acted as if he's the money man. He's making all the money. He's like supplying for everyone. However, like Kimberly's just said that this is their house. They lived in it before Lance was even in the picture. And when she's mentioned that, that's like made Lance blow up. It's almost like he's kind of been exposed a little bit for being a bit of a faker. And he's almost like threatening the kids here, even though this is their house. Can you imagine, like, you've got a house that you've lived in for ages, and then this guy, this random guy comes in, you're left with him, and he starts kind of threatening you, saying that if you were his child, you'd be kicked out. This is going to make you feel so uncomfortable in your own home, especially since they've mentioned it's a small flat. Like, you won't be able to get away from this man. You'd be able to hear him in every single corner of the flat.
And we're going to go and cook dinner, aren't we? We didn't get playing cards. It's your fault.
No, it's your fault.
Go on then, go on.
You forgot.
This is so, like, nice to see that Dee and Sonia's kid have got, like, a really, like, good relationship here. Like, they're taking the piss out of each other. They're joking. He clearly feels, like, safe in her presence. Like, why? Like, this Dee totally contrasts with the Dee we saw in the intro tapes. Back in the other house, Sonia then takes David and the family to the gym, and David says that this is the first time that he's worked out since 1971 in a PE lesson. That's hilarious how he remembers the day. I remember it quite well, actually. I remember the PE teacher took us on the trampoline, made us do a swivel hit. Right, last time I ever worked out. Never again, I said. Never again. To be fair, I've still got an injury off doing trampoline in school. I feel like I need to sue my school for that. I'm going to go and do that. Now, both David and his daughter Carol say that they absolutely loved going to the gym and they want to continue to go. They'd just never been before, so they never knew what it was like. However, Mary hates it and won't even join in. She's just brought her boyfriend along and is just kind of chilling with him.
Do you know what, Sean? Between my mum and that bitch in there, I'd rather have my mum any day.
Now, this is really interesting, because we're just seeing such a split from both of the daughters here. And it's almost like Mary feels like she's betraying her mum by getting on with Sonia, when in reality that's not the case at all. Now, if you think that Mary calling Sonia a bitch is the worst that happens, just wait until what you're about to witness. Because what's to come is so much worse. Back in the other house, Dee and Lance are arguing because Lance is continuing to smoke, even though it's Dee's turns to inflict the rules.
You think all women shouldn't have a right to talk? You stop me dead and start spouting out a load of crap yourself.
To be fair, Dee actually has a little bit of a point. Like, the way he treats women is really weird. Like, the phrases he uses. He always talks down to them, even to the daughter, Kimberly. The way he speaks to them is very, like, condescending. It's just very off. And he hasn't really got a leg to stand on here, because he was complaining about Dee not following his rules. So now it's Dee's turn. Like, he's not following her rules. So, like, this makes him no better. You're just doing tit for tat here.
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it around children, and I don't like it around me.
What is the point in these two, like, taking part in this process? Genuinely, they're just arguing. They just hate each other. They're not learning anything at all. At least in the other household, it's more of a positive thing. Like, overall, the good outweighs the bad. In this one, it's just bad. The fact she's literally, like, shouting at him, saying that she really doesn't agree with him smoking around the children, and then he just lights one up in front of her face. Bro thought he was cold. He thought he was in a TikTok edit. He just has zero respect for Dee. Like, he genuinely, it's almost like she's just not there. He's just doing what he wants to do. But again, I'm not trying to pin Dee out to be the good one here, because she is also bad. They're both just not the best, in my opinion.
Okay? You're eating too much junk food and you've put on well too much weight. I'm here to tell you, you are not happy the way you look.
This, like, even saying this while there's a camera crew here, it's almost like he's trying to embarrass her. Like, he's not saying this, like, to help her, because he knows the cameras are going to pick this up. He's saying this to embarrass her in front of everyone. That's the reason he's saying that. Also, it's not like you're Captain America, mate. Not like you're in the best shape here. Like, you don't have a right to comment on someone else's body, especially when she said, look, I'm happy. I'm happy. You're trying to just put her down here. I don't understand how Lance is coming off looking worse than Dee, even though we know what Dee's views and how she lives her life is like, and she's awful. What is going on? This is the maddest episode ever. I'm so conflicted here. You can just tell that Lance has zero respect for Dee, even after she leaves, the way that he just talks to the camera when it's just him.
Do a full day's work, come on, we get moaned at by her indoors because I've had a spliff.
Oh... Like, I get it, right? It's not like you do it, you know, you're not like you're having crack or whatever in front of the kids. I get it. It's not the deepest one, you could say. But to Dee, that is really deep. And it's her rule week, unfortunately. So you just have to do what she wants. It's also like she's also been at work all day. Like, so when Sonia's here, if Sonia, like, raises a concern to Lance, this is how he's going to talk to Sonia. And it's just kind of, it makes us feel bad because Sonia's such a nice person. And it seems like she might not stand up for herself as much as what Dee does. In the other house, Sonia spent all day, like, tidying up the Jacksons' household. And Mary has a huge issue with this.
It's horrible. I hate it. Right, there's an argument now.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Where's my posters?
She is a nutter. She's the type of person that I would walk past, like, in school, being like, just don't make eye contact, just please don't say anything to us.
That fucking slave
Oi!
Look, get out of my...
Did you see what she just called her? What the actual fuck? Like, I get it. Like, I think I would be a little bit pissed if I was a child and I had no say in this experiment that my mum and dad were participating in. And then this random woman comes into my bedroom, steals my ornaments and steals my posters that I like and I've hung up in my own bedroom. You're going to be pissed, okay? But the way that she spoke to her there is just vile. And I think it just shows the kind of impact that Dee is having on our own children and how they're basically just grown up to be her, especially Mary. There is a little bit of a character arc from David here though, because normally he would just kind of sit on the sofa and not say anything. However, he really backs Sonia up and goes and tells Mary off for the way that she spoke to her. However, Mary gets even more annoyed.
I won't apologise to that black bitch in the front room.
Yes, you will. And don't call her that. You are a cesspit, child.
You're a cesspool. It almost seems like David just hates Mary. He just hates his child. The language that she was using there is genuinely horrific for a kid to use though. Like, and she's learned that off her mother quite clearly. Like, she thinks it's okay to say that to someone. It's genuinely mind-boggling, and it just shows that this gets passed down from generation to generation without anyone breaking the cycle. And hopefully David actually calling her out on this and saying, look, this isn't right, is going to make her break the cycle of treating people this way.
I apologise when I'm ready.
You know, you apologise now.
Sorry!
Well, that's great. Now everything's sorted. How nice was that apology? Oh, just a little cutie, ain't you, bless her? What a woman. What a woman. Well, that was bloody dreadful. I bet Sonia really appreciated that. That made her feel really good inside. Thanks, Mary. Always a pleasure. One thing I do want to know is Sonia should be really proud of the way she's acting during all of this, because she never raises her voice once. She stays very calm and she just speaks logically during the entire thing. It's almost as if she's like the expert here, you know, like when Super Nanny goes into a household and just fixes it. This is almost like how Sonia's acting. And it makes me think, like, why is this woman with Lance? Because they just don't seem like they're a pair. They don't seem like they have the same, like, values or the same just IQ in general. Sonia's, like, so emotionally intelligent and is genuinely, like, trying to help this family. Hello? No. Hey, we've got a visitor. Have you got anything to say about this woman? Bro, that was harsh. Come on, you've got to admit that was too far. David then goes into Mary's room, and this is the first time we really see him lose his temper.
You went in there and shouted your mouth off. That is not an apology. You are rude, arrogant, and nasty.
What? Why are the producers still filming at this point? Why did they not? This is just wild. It's the fact that I'm speechless. I'm genuinely speechless. We're definitely seeing like a dysfunctional family here, like a family that really is in trouble and just aren't really, they're not really a family at all. And David just getting more and more worked up because they're not respecting him.
Be honest, I'm seriously impressed with you.
The only thing Mum won't be.
No, but the bottom line is you are actually showing maturity.
Like, even the fact that Sonia's taken the time to praise Carol, like, that's really good, because a lot of the time, like, the more well-behaved children in families kind of get left under the radar just because they're not demanding the attention. And even what you said there, where she was like, oh yeah, my mum's not going to be happy with this, that I'm behaving for you. Like, that's even a mad statement in itself, because a lot of parents out there, if someone else was looking after the children, they'd tell them to behave. Yet Dee says the complete opposite.
Sonia, I'm sorry for what I said, but on one deal, can I have my pink handbag and my teddy bear back?
If you are expecting to command any respect from anybody, believe me, that isn't the way to do it.
Oof. Okay, Sonia, delivering the tough shit. She's like a great mum. Genuinely, she must be like a great mom to have. We're going to see at the end of this video like an update with her and how our kids are getting on today. And you can tell that she actually has had such a positive impact on her own kids. However, I don't think that Mary by the end of this episode is going to ever get along with Sonia. I just think that Mary for some reason has this built up hatred for her that she's never going to get over. It's now the last full day and night that the wives are going to be spending with their new adopted families. Dee is helping Luke make a cake for his mom coming back, which is actually really sweet, and you can definitely see that Luke really likes Dee and vice versa.
As soon as Sonia walks out of this flat, I will be pleased. I like her a lot.
Because I like you, look. That's it.
It is such a shame because clearly Mary's just going to remain the exact same as what she was before taking part in this process. However, you can really see that Sonia's had a positive impact on Carol, like she's completely shifted. Dee and Lance are still arguing to the very last day because Lance doesn't like the food that Dee's making for dinner. These two are just never going to be friends, are they?
You need a man in your life. You need someone to make you taste yourself.
Now you're just bullshitting. What, she needs someone in her life that's going to make her do everything to push herself to her limit where she's not going to be happy? What, is that a man? That, to me, that's not a man. That's just somebody that is just trying to stamp their authority on people and make sure that they have to do as little as possible. That's not being a man. It's even the fact that he expects her to do all of this stuff, even though he's not the person that is covering every single bill. Like, she still has to go to work.
I think you think I'm hurt at the fact that I'll never be your husband. If you were my woman, I'd trade you in tomorrow.
What, so Lance thinks that Dee's annoyed because Lance will never be her husband. I think that David does a lot more in the house than what you do, Lance. I don't think she really wants you. If I'm being honest, the only person that is coming off as a positive person to be with in this entire episode is Sonia. The rest of them just... They're just wild. They're just out of control.
You come out with a load of crap and don't know what you're talking about. My weight yesterday with cholesterol problems and heart problems. I had it all done today, and I am 100% fit.
Like, there's not even any cuts here. They're genuinely, there's one guy with a camera just being like, oh my God, what am I filming right now? What is my job? It's interesting that Lance calls Dee ignorant for saying that, even though he's literally just sparked one up in front of her face, even though she said that she really hates that. They're both just being ignorant. They're both just like being nasty to each other. They both clearly are never going to get on. They need to just leave now. Don't wait until like later on. Just leave right now. Okay, it's now the day that the wives leave their houses. I imagine that Dee is buzzing. And also Lance. Lance says that he hasn't learned a single thing from doing this process.
I haven't learned anything. It's just confirmed that there's a large minority of Alf Garnett-minded type people out there.
The only thing I've learnt in 10 days here is that the children are absolutely wonderful.
That is one thing that did surprise us with Dee, is that she was like how much of a good relationship she built up with both of the kids. Like, no matter what like horribleness was going on between Dee and Lance, she always kind of changed her tone, etc., and kind of tried to guard the kids away from what was going on, which is a positive like aspect of Dee's personality. It's just unfortunate that the rest of our views are just horrific. I just don't think Lance and Dee are people that you want to be friends with. Like, every single time they ask Lance for an opinion on his week, he just keeps reiterating about how much he hates Dee.
We need to have my lady back. And having Slim around just made me appreciate her 10 times more than I did before, you know. I didn't know they made women as useless as that.
This guy. I hope Sonia watches this back and just leave his ass. Okay, Sonia, do yourself a favour, love. This is not a long-term thing. If anything, coming on this experiment could be the worst thing that Lance ever did. Because how's Sonia going to watch this back and be like, oh yeah, that guy I'm with for 5 months, he's really sound. Whereas David says that he wants a part 2 of this show where he continues to live with Sonia. I think he likes her better than what he likes Dee. And they've been together for 18 years. Him and Sonia actually were like a really good team, and David actually bought into Sonia's rules, and Sonia did the same with David. However, the other two might as well have just binned the process off. Both the couples then meet for the first time together, and they basically talk about everything that they've been through in the process. They basically say everything they don't like about each other's families and the stuff that they do like. Sonia says that Carol is a credit to both Dee and David. However, Mary is out of control and needs to be tamed somehow. And Dee doesn't react well to this. Obviously, you know, you are going to feel a little bit like, you know, hurt that somebody's saying that your child is basically the devil. I get that. But but she has such an outburst where she just can't handle somebody saying this about a kid. We actually see David stand up to Dee for the first time, apparently, and Dee basically dumps him on the spot.
I'm asking you to support me and back me.
Right, exactly.
Something you won't do. I've seen it. I've now realised it.
Look at Sonia's face.
I told you long before Christmas, I've had enough of Mary's language. I want something done about it. But all you've done, I'll talk to her.
It's going to work this time.
Is it?
Yeah, because you're leaving and I'm keeping the kids.
That's so interesting that Dee's basically went, okay, right, well, you're done then. Just because he's raised a concern that Mary, you know, is disrespectful. It's almost like Dee doesn't want anyone saying anything to her, like she thinks that she can do no wrong. The fact she's literally just dumped him on national television just because he said something she doesn't agree with. This is probably why David, throughout his entire 18 years with Dee, has just walked on eggshells, because she's probably dumped him multiple times and he's had to apologise. It's so funny to see Sonia's face during all of this, because she's basically smiling at David, knowing that she's helped him, like, stand up for himself. Like, she's had such a positive impact on this family. Both the mums then return to their families and get to see their kids for the first time in 2 weeks, and straight away Dee just slips back into just that awful language.
Don't I get cuddle? Oh, I forgot. You don't do cuddles, do you, dear?
Yeah, she does cuddle Sonia.
She is an awful woman. She genuinely is just awful. Oh, God. It's just, like, insecure. Like, why does she feel like Sonia was competing with her? And the only person that's laughing at her jokes now is Mary, and we know what Mary's personality is like. Neither Carol or David are, like, laughing along with her. They have kind of realised what type of person she is. However, what is really interesting is you can tell that Dee feels like Sonia has improved her house, because she doesn't revert it back to how it was when she lived there. Also, she adopts a lot of Sonia's rules. Like, she starts bringing in grounding into her own house when Mary starts to kick off again. It's very much like she wants to kind of emulate Sonia, because she realises what a great job Sonia's done with her children, and she kind of wants that in her household, but she'll never really admit it. The episode then ends quite nicely with Mary calling her own mother a bitch. She was always a pleasure, Mary, bless her.
You're right, Sonia. A bitch, simple as that.
At this point, the show ends and we get like a short-term update on how the couples are doing now. Lance says that after spending time with Dee, he's realised that Sonia is his soulmate. That's very, that's very telling. He's like, actually, I've had it unbelievable before. I didn't realise how good you were, Sonia. I'm so sorry for ever being mean to you. We don't really get an update on how Dee and David are doing, apart from them just snogging. So I guess they're just kind of best mates again. However, I have done some digging and I have an update to this very day of both the couples. Okay, Detective Cam has been on the case. So a week after this episode dropped in 2003, Dee actually did an interview with The Guardian where she stated, "If they don't like my views, they shouldn't have put me in with it." Why would you double down on this, love? How have you watched that footage back and went, actually, everything I say is completely true? How stuck in your ways must you be? Like, this is horrific, love. She does say that they only showed half of the stuff that was going on and Lance was actually so mean to her. And I don't dispute that. I can imagine that Lance was actually awful to her. However, like, that doesn't give you any right to use the language that you use whatsoever. That doesn't make it right, love. Now, I researched for like 2 hours trying to find where Dee and David are today, and I couldn't find anything specifically apart from one big thing. Dee and Dave are no longer together. They've called it quits. Their 18-year marriage. I don't know why, but they're not seeing each other anymore. On the note of splitting up, Sonia and Lance also broke up, which thank the Lord. Jesus. Sonia, you deserve better, love. Okay. I did find a little bit more about what Sonia is doing today, as she actually posts on TikTok and she's referenced this episode multiple times.
Hi guys, this is Sonia from the original Wife Swap, episode number 1. If you can remember, it was the racist episode.
You know it's a bad episode when it's referred to as the racist episode.
She literally started crying when she saw that we were black. Once she realised that she was in a black household, the woman was literally crying.
Sorry, that's embarrassing. What, like actual tears? Like, no!
She apparently made a cake and was licking her hands and putting it back in the cake, apparently.
I said the cake was a good idea.
And whoever lives here, not English.
But there's not much in the way of actual food, is there?
It is nice to see that Sonia, you know, she seems to be doing well after this episode because, you know, appearing on this show could have, you know, you see it all the time, these people that go down like a dark path. We seen in the last wife swap episode we did, that one, the update on that one was horrific, and, you know, I was really hoping that this doesn't happen to anyone in this specific episode, but it's nice to see that Sonia's doing well because she was my favourite out of everyone. She even talks about her kids that appeared on the show.
So these are my children who are now grown, Luke and Kimberly. They're both doing extremely well, and Kimberly's got 2 children, and this is one of them.
Hello.
And yeah, they're both fit, well, and very happy kids. All right.
You can tell she's definitely proud of like her appearance on this show and how she acted, and she's definitely proud of her kids, which is a great thing, and it just shows that, you know, she was a great parent, and hopefully she's had a positive impact on, I know not Mary, but on Carol's life moving forward. I couldn't actually find anything out about Mary or Carol. I think they live their lives offline. I don't want to pry too much if they don't want their updates out there. But again, I do want to comment on just the production team here. Like, it is wild that they knew what Dee was like, they knew her beliefs, and they still proceeded to film this episode. I know wife swap is people from 2 contrasting families with contrasting beliefs and things, but there's a line, and I feel like this could have easily have, you know, took a turn for the worse. I'm glad nobody was harmed or anything like this, but that, in my opinion, it was very reckless to put both Lance and Dee in the same household, or Dee in that household altogether, especially when Sonia reveals how Dee acted when, she found out where she was going to be staying. Absolutely wild. This generation of TV just honestly boggles my mind. If you do want to watch another episode of Wife Swap from this generation, click this video here, because the people in this one are arguably worse somehow. And thanks again, Donuts, for dedicating the time to watch my videos. Me and Justin really appreciate it. Okay, see you in the next one.